Ladies and gentlemen, a lot of stories coming out of Florida. Florida is going to take the L in this situation. I'm getting this story from lawandcrime.com. So if you read the title, then you might have an idea about what happened here. I'm going to give you a few more details. But before we get there, let me give you guys a disclaimer that you might find my content controversial or offensive. The information coming from this video is coming from many different reliable, credible sources. The video is also going to contain my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to try to use this as a cautionary tale to protect children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised, and that is your official disclaimer for those who have thin skin and for those who might not know what you're getting into. This story is going to have some very graphic details, just like a lot of our stories do. I think that's why most people come here as a true crime channel to hear what the real deal is, right? I think that's what everybody is here for. I'm getting this article from lawandcrime.com. So again, shout out to them. 2 Florida parents have been arrested in connection with the death of their 6-year-old son in a case alleging extreme child abuse. The idiots, these wonderful, awesome black parents, their Black Lives Matter, right? These awesome, awesome parents by the name of Larry Rhodes, who is 22 years old. That man looks like he's a good 39. Like he looked like he graduated in my high school class. He does not look like he's 22 years old. But they say he's 22. Bianca Blaze, Blaise, is 25 years old. She looks like she's a good mid-40s also. Already stand accused of child neglect charges stemming from a July incident in which one of their 6 children Larry Rhodes and Bianca Blaze already stand accused of child neglect and charges stemming from a July incident in which one of their 6 children was allegedly found unconscious with his head in the toilet at the Knights Inn Hotel in Kissimmee, Florida. Knights spelled Knights. How? 6 kids at 22 and 25 years old? That would have to, like, how, I'd like to know the age of the kids. When did she start having kids? Yeah, and y'all notice that's a mugshot. She's smirking in the mugshot. 25 with 6 kids, dude. You didn't love them kids. That's another hashtag babies for benefits. There's no reason just because your body can physically produce kids that just keep pumping out kids just for the hell of it. Because you're bored. Because you like penis. Penis ain't that much fun. And matter of fact, this story is going to get a hell of a lot worse when y'all find out what their living conditions were. Because I know some of y'all might be thinking, well, maybe they can afford to take care of these kids. No, they can't. Not at this age. They have not built up anything financially to be able to take care of themselves, living at a hotel. How many bedrooms do y'all think that was at this Knights Inn Hotel? You think maybe they had a 4-bedroom hotel room? Maybe 3-bedroom? 2? You think at the bare minimum, maybe it was a 2-bedroom hotel? The Osceola County Sheriff's Office claims that 8 people, 6 kids, 2 adults, 8 people were found living in a 1-room hotel. There were 2 adults, the defendants, and 6 children from the ages of 6 to an infant just a few months old. So that would have to mean that this alleged mother was having kids since the moment she turned 18 years old. 8 people. Look, I can't even hold this. I can't hold my mule. I cannot hold water right now. I need to show y'all this because I'm getting pissed off just thinking about it. Do y'all want to see what the bedroom looked like? I'm going to just show y'all what it looked like. I'm going to take up the entire screen because I can't even do this story without getting upset. This is where 8 human beings lived. This is how 8 human beings were living. Do y'all see this? One filthy, nasty, disgusting, alleged hotel bed with shit everywhere. They got shit anywhere and everywhere. Look at this. Matter of fact, let me break out my trusty whiteboard. I think this would be a perfect time to bring out the whiteboard. I haven't brought it out in a while. Let me see if I can figure this thing out here. I think I've got my color. Let's go here. Look at that. That's the bed. There's like, what, 1 pillow? Maybe 2? It's got all kind of dark brown, black stains on it. No sheets on the bed. The bed looked like it's about to cave in. Look at all these clothes, backpacks, TV, whatever the hell that is, a fan on the floor. This looks like a clothes pile. That looks like a clothes pile for about 8 people. That looks about right. Just crap everywhere. I bet that room smells like a nightmare. Like Nightmare on Elm Street. If Nightmare on Elm Street had a smell, I bet you that's what that room smelled like. Deputies say that Bianca Blaze, the mother, dialed 911 dispatch to report an accidental drowning, that it looked as if the child in question was attempting to drink water from the toilet bowl, according to Wednesday press conference by Osceola County Sheriff Marcos R. Lopez. In charging affidavits obtained by the Orlando-based CBS affiliate WKMG, I'm going to just say the news next time. Deputies say that they spoke with the other hotel residents who described a thud some 10 to 15 minutes before law enforcement officials arrived. That sound is believed to have been the sound of a boy falling. When deputies arrived, however, they found the boy with his head in the toilet bowl. Some of y'all thought it might have been a bathtub incident, but at least it is in the bathroom. They got there and his head was in the toilet, so they didn't take his head out the toilet. We'll just wait for the police to get here. We got, what, 5 other kids, I guess? We'll just leave him where he's at. We'll wait for the police to get here. The deputies arrived and they found the boy with his head in the toilet bowl. You can't be this level of dumb. You just can't. The victim allegedly had severely swollen eyes and was not breathing. First responders performed CPR and the child was rushed to a nearby hospital where he was diagnosed with severe life-threatening brain bleed and lacerated liver. So I'm sure that came from him drinking out of a toilet. You get a lacerated liver from drinking out of a toilet? Really? How dumb do they think we are? How dumb do they think the police are? How do you get a lacerated liver as a child from drinking out of a toilet if that's actually what happened? But anyway, in the ensuing investigation, the sheriff said that the boy did not drown at all, of course. That had nothing to do with why he wasn't breathing, Lopez said. The reason he was not breathing is because his parents got very angry that he was drinking out of the toilet and started to beat him. My question would be, why was he drinking out of a toilet? Probably because there wasn't no freaking food in that nasty ass, filthy ass hotel room. Because they look broke. I'm wondering if you've been living inside of a hotel room, it looked like they've been living in there for a while. Like, at what point do you have, like, maybe y'all wasn't thinking like what I was thinking. I was thinking like, how do you find time with all of these other individuals, these other kids being in a hotel room for y'all to have sex and create more children? How? Y'all are all in the same one area, one space. That's the shoe that boy got beat with. Let me see if I can make that bigger on the screen for y'all. I'm not going to take too much time with this, but I do need to show you this. Let me make this bigger. I want y'all to look at that shoe and tell me, what does that look like to y'all on the bottom of that alleged shoe? What does that look like on the bottom of that shoe? First, the mother beat him. Then, the father started repeatedly punching this little boy with a closed fist. He punched him multiple times in the head and the stomach area. This was a 6-year-old child. The boy was placed on life support, but he succumbed to the injuries this week. That's when the murder charges were filed against the couple. Yes, guys, that looks like blood and lots of it on the shoe. He was 6 years old. He almost survived. He was on life support, and it would have been an amazing story if he would have survived. That would have been an amazing story to tell. But a 6-year-old body couldn't survive that. It was nothing he could have done. Maybe he was thirsty, Lopez said. He went to the toilet. He was trying to survive. Mama caught him, and the poor guy paid the price. The sheriff added during the press conference that 2 other children, a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old, told deputies that Blazing Rhodes saw the 6-year-old with his head in the toilet and began to administer punishment by beating him repeatedly with closed fist. So the other children saw this happen. Lopez described the defendant's alleged actions against the boy as the brutal murder of a 6-year-old child. He also accused them of meting out. Is that meting? I should say maybe handing out abuse to the boy's 5 other siblings. As the sheriff spoke, images were played of the severely cramped and disheveled hotel room. Deputies say that the other children showed evidence of abuse, including burns, scars, black eyes, bleeding, and bruising. And I'm going to tell y'all, in some of these news videos, they're going to actually show, not showing their face, but they're going to show some of the markings from what these idiots did to these kids. And it's going to be pretty heartbreaking to see it. So that's a forewarning. That's your disclaimer. That is your forewarning. One of the children allegedly had a hemorrhage in one of their eyes. In previously filed court documents, Blaze, the mother, allegedly admitted to giving the children whoopings forcing them to stand in the corner, and performing exercises as forms of punishment. The defendants stand accused of murder in the first degree, as well as multiple counts of child abuse and neglect charges. They are currently being held in the Osceola County Jail with no bond. And I agree, they should not have a bond. Let me give you guys the fair usage. I'm going to play maybe a couple of these news videos. So here we go. Let's get it.
Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107.
If you guys are watching this video, please share in the memory of not only this 6-year-old boy who we don't even have a name or a face to attach to this, so maybe I'll do an update at a later point. But please pray for these other 5 children because they're going to need as much prayer as possible. Hit that thumbs up, share this video, let more people know that we're talking about what I believe the most important stories that should be told all across this country, okay? Here we go. Let's get it.
Tonight, a 6-year-old boy is on life support, and an Osceola County couple is facing charges after the boy was found unconscious with his head in a toilet.
Watch 2's Luana Munoz joins us live tonight in Osceola County. Luana, what did you find out?
You know, Christina, I just want to warn the public tonight that the details of this case are incredibly disturbing and heartbreaking, especially when you've read it in its entirety the way I have tonight. Well, tonight what we do know is that the father, Larry Rhodes Jr., is still behind bars here in Osceola County, facing 6 counts of child neglect with bodily harm. The mother is also facing the same charges. According to court documents, Larry Rhodes and his girlfriend Bianca Blaze and their 6 children had been staying at the Knights Inn Hotel off West Earl Bronson Memorial Highway in Kissimmee since April. But on July 5th at around 3:30 in the afternoon, authorities responded to a call of a drowning at the hotel room. Bianca told authorities her 6-year-old son's head was in the toilet, like he was, quote, drinking the water, and that at some point he became unconscious. When deputies arrived, Rhodes was holding the boy, but he had no pulse. The boy was taken to Advent Health Celebration, then taken to Arnold Palmer Hospital with a life-threatening brain bleed and was put on life support. The child had visible injuries like swollen eyes. Another 4-year-old in the room was found with cuts on their face. According to the affidavit, the parents said the siblings had been fighting, but the 4-year-old said, quote, "Daddy hit me." Bianca denied that she or Rhodes ever did anything to harm the children, saying they would scold them by telling them to stand in a corner. But doctors examining at least one child painted a very different story, saying their body had burns, bruises, scars, and much more.
Also developing tonight, a sad story. A 6-year-old boy found dead. He was found with his head in a toilet.
His parents are now charged with murder.
It happened in a hotel room in Kissimmee where that family was living. The sheriff says 5 other kids were also being abused.
Fox 35's Valerie Boy is in Osceola County, where the sheriff just spoke.
Well, the Osceola sheriff says a couple killed their 6-year-old son and abused their 5 other children here at this motel off of 192 in Osceola County. We want to warn you, this is very difficult to hear and see. Now, Sheriff Marcos Lopez says the parents, Larry Rhodes and Bianca Blaze, beat their 6-year-old son, causing him to die. They say the mother called 911, saying her son drowned after drinking from the toilet. However, investigators say she lied. He died at the hospital. Deputies also released pictures of injuries to the couple's other 5 kids who range from 10 months old to 5 years old. He says this is one of the worst cases of child abuse in the history of Osceola County.
Because they were beaten so much to the point where, you know, you're not crying anymore. That's the only thing I can think of. And that's probably why no one heard or saw anything. The 4 and the 5-year-old were the ones that were able to speak and give out enough information through that CPT investigation and give details of what happened.
Now the parents are charged with murder, aggravated manslaughter, and aggravated child abuse. Sheriff Lopez says all 5 kids are now staying in the same foster home. In Osceola County, Valerie Boy, Fox 35 News.
Let's take you to Osceola County tonight, where a couple faces charges after their 6-year-old son was found unconscious with his head in a toilet.
That child is now on life support. As West 2's Megan Mulatto tells us, the couple has 6 children and the entire family lived in a hotel room.
According to this 6-page arrest report, deputies were initially responding to a call of a drowning inside a hotel room on 192. When they arrived, they say they found a 6-year-old boy without a pulse. The report says the person who called 911 told deputies her 6-year-old son's head was in the toilet, like he was drinking water, and that he became unconscious. When deputies arrived, they say the 6-year-old wasn't breathing. They administered CPR until he was taken to the hospital with a life-threatening brain bleed and was put on life support. 8 people were found in the hotel room, 6 children and their parents, Larry Rhodes Jr. and Bianca Blaze. Both are facing several child neglect charges. Rhodes is also facing an aggravated child abuse charge. Deputies say they noticed visible injuries on the 6-year-old boy's face, including swollen eyes and blood in his mouth. A 4-year-old in the room also had bruises on his face and fresh cuts around his mouth, according to the arrest report. When the children's parents were asked about the injuries, the report says they claimed there was a fight between the siblings. But when the 4-year-old was asked, he said, quote, "Daddy hit me." Both.
They tried to blame it on the children beating each other up. Isn't that something? If we had to believe the words of these parents over the kids, these kids would be screwed. There have been a number of stories where we've reported that the children's injuries were blamed on themselves. That's messed up.
Taken to the sheriff's office for questioning, where the report states Blaze mentioned Rhodes had whooped the kids in the past and that he has recently become more upset because he ran out of his medication for schizophrenia. In the interview, Blaze also denies having knowledge of her kids' injuries. In Osceola County.
First, though, 2 parents facing murder charges in the death of their 6-year-old son. Unfortunately, the tragic case does not stop there. The couple also accused of abusing their 5 other kids. I'm Matt Austin.
And I'm Lisa Bell. The Osceola County Sheriff calls it one of the worst child abuse cases his detectives have ever seen. It all stems from a months-long investigation at a Kissimmee hotel where the family was renting a room. News 6's Carolina Cardona explains what led to the arrests.
The 2 people that are on the screens are responsible for the brutal murder of a 6-year-old child.
Osceola Sheriff Marcos Lopez detailing the events that led to the death of that child and the arrests of his parents, Jonathan Rhodes and Bianca Blaze.
Throughout our investigation, it was learned the child was drinking from the toilet, but that had nothing to do with why he wasn't breathing.
Authorities say on July 5th, deputies responded to the Knights Inn Hotel in Kissimmee after Blaze called about a drowning.
The reason he wasn't breathing was because his parents got very angry because he was drinking out of the toilet, so they started to beat him. First, the mother beat him. Then the father started repeatedly punching this little boy with a closed fist.
The 6-year-old boy died a few days later after being on life support for a brain bleed. The investigation also revealed all of the other children ranging in ages from 5 to 10 months old were also beaten.
During the investigation, we learned that their parents would send them to the corner of the hotel room and beat them with the bottom of a shoe. We were able to match the markings on their bodies with the imprint of the shoe.
Images of that shoe shown today as part of the investigation, along with images of the bruises, cuts, and lacerations on all of the children.
Injuries on the butt, like things that we can't.
That one was probably the worst one. Let me show you that again.
Of the bruises, cuts, and lacerations on all of the children.
Look at that. And we want to talk about how bad slavery was however many hundreds of years ago. And that's what they're doing to their kids. They're coming out with new slave movies every single year. And we talk about how bad it was. But that's what you're doing to kids. That's what you're doing to babies. That's missing skin. Those marks are tattooed deep in their skin. Those marks are permanent skin marks. Tanea said it. They look like beaten slaves. That's why I brought it up. And that's why I also have been a person that rails against parents who spank. I come from the era that was accepted as normal, but I have evolved in my thinking and especially in my behavior. I don't spank my daughter. I don't believe it's necessary to spank children or be physical with children at all. I think that anybody who spanks children are not fit to be parents if you can't use your mind to raise a child. I think that's the simplest way to say it. Let me say it again. If you beat children, physically discipline children, you are not suitable to be a parent if you can't raise a child with your mind. My message is very clear about that. And that's also coming from experience that I know the background of physical discipline. Raised in it, my parents were raised in it, their parents were raised in it. I can speak from it because I understand it. Look at that baby's body. And I continue to keep telling people, these children don't learn respect from being beat up and hit and spanked. Nobody learns that. All children who can't defend themselves from this activity learn is fear. They fear the person that's inflicting damage on them. What do you think that does to the psyche when you have to lay there and take somebody hitting you constantly for you allegedly making a mistake? What are you supposed to learn from that? What does that teach you? You think it teaches you to be respectful? You think it teaches you to not do those items again? You think it teaches you to be submissive? It teaches you fear. When a person fears, they will lash out, and more times than none, that will come out in their actions at some point, and that's never a good thing. That's even if you even survive it. I want y'all to understand. That's if you survive it. 1 out of these 6 children didn't survive it. The whoopings he got, the spankings he got, killed him. Look at that baby's body. Missing skin. Tell me that don't look like any slave movie that y'all have ever seen. Flat out ridiculous. I wish somebody would come to the comment section and try to justify that.
Our breaking news out of Osceola County. A mother and father already charged with neglect are now charged with murder after their 6-year-old son died.
The Osceola County Sheriff says the parents are to blame and that they abused not only that child, but other children as well. West 2's Michelle Meredith joins us live from the Sheriff's office with more details on this case. Michelle?
Well, the parents told investigators that their son went unconscious after drinking water out of a toilet. Well, investigators reached a completely different conclusion, and sadly, they found much more. A veteran detective said it was the worst case of child abuse she has seen in her 19 years.
Dead skin cells from being hurt so badly, just horrible, horrible injuries on all of the children. So 10 months to 5 years old were the surviving children.
The parents of the 6-year-old child, Larry Rhodes and Bianca Blaze, both face murder charges. It started in July when investigators say they got a call for a drowning at a motel on 192. When they got there, the parents said their son was drinking water from the toilet. But investigators say his eyes were swollen. There was blood.
The reason he wasn't breathing was because his parents got very angry because he was drinking out of the toilet, so they started to beat him. First, the mother beat him. Then the father started repeatedly punching this little boy with a closed fist.
And I just thought about why he might have been drinking out of the toilet. I don't know if y'all thought about this, but I just now thought about it. I want to throw this in there real quick because I was trying to think, like, is that just a lie, a concocted portion of the story that they made up to try to make it seem like maybe he drowned himself accidentally? But I thought about it. They were probably preventing these children from being able to eat and drink. And if they turned on the sink faucet, they would have heard it. He probably tried the toilet being thirsty because the toilet bowl already has water in it. And maybe they wouldn't have heard it. Just throwing that out there. I'm just thinking that has to be the only logic to it.
Punched him multiple times to the head, to the stomach area, to this little 6-year-old child.
Investigators say the couple had 6 children, that they all slept in the same bed, that they were not attending school, were isolated, were not getting enough food, and that every one of them had signs that they had been beaten.
All the kids had bruises, cuts, and marks on their tiny little bodies. On several of the kids, there was markings that had a distinct pattern. During the investigation, we learned that their parents would send them to the corner of the hotel room and beat them with the bottom of a shoe.
Now, that veteran detective said that each one of these cases take a little chunk out of your heart. Now, we are told that the surviving children are in foster care and that they are doing remarkably well.
I wish he wouldn't have said it takes a chunk out of your heart, because it looks like it took a chunk out of these kids' skin. Look, man, I don't really see any reason. I don't think these are good people at all. I don't think they ever will be. I think a life sentence in prison is the only thing suitable for this murder that they committed and the abuse that they committed on all the race of these kids. Y'all tell me why y'all believe there's a good reason to let them do anything less than life in prison. Maybe y'all believe the ultimate penalty under law is a bit too harsh. In some cases, I don't think it is. But I do think that life in prison is the only thing suitable for these horrible individuals who forced these 6 children into this world against their will and subjected them to living like freaking caged animals in the smallest cage possible and beat them just for being alive. Life in prison, but let me know what you guys think about this story. RIP to that lost soul. If we get a picture, I will probably try to put it in the thumbnail as an update. But to that lost soul and those other kids, keep them in your prayers. To the lost soul, young prince, RIP. Horrible individuals. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section about this story. Spread this story. Please continue to share our stories from the AFC podcast. And I'm hoping if we spread them fast enough, then maybe we can start ending a lot of this suffering that's going on and start waking people up. But thank you.